Welcome to Surf Studio. Surf Lifesaving is filled with so many fantastic people and inspiring stories, and Surf Studio is designed to share some of these stories from across the country and across all areas of lifesaving. In this week's episode of Surf Studio, we chat to Nutri-Grain Ironwoman Lizzie Welborn from Newport Surf Lifesaving Club on her Coolangatta Gold at Bate Bay win, the New South Wales Super Team Series, and how excited she is for the 2020-21 Nutri-Grain Ironman and Ironwoman Series. We head to the Gold Coast to chat with legendary Ironman Trevor Hendy, OAM, about giving back to the movement through surf lifesaving after his lengthy career in the sport. And finally, we chat to 11-year-old Nipper Lachie Muldrock from the Umina Surf Lifesaving Club, as well as Dad Reuben and Uncle Josh Savage about how they helped to save the lives of two children who were pulled 150 metres out to sea in a rip.
Welcome back to Surf Studio. We're very excited today to bring a chat with Lizzie Welborn. Lizzie, I feel like we have so much to talk about today. It's like iron racing is back.
It's so exciting. Like yesterday was a really great day, and like throughout, I feel like the past month, slowly little races have been coming back. Like we've had the New South Wales super teams, both Gold Coast and New South Wales had their virtual gold, and now suddenly like the big one's back, and I think everyone's really excited about it.
Absolutely. It felt like there was such a long time where we didn't know what was happening. It was so quiet. And I loved you popped on your social media the other day. All of a sudden you're racing back-to-back weekends.
It was amazing. It was so much fun. And like they are smaller carnivals, like compared to what we would usually be doing at this time of the season. But I don't think anyone cares about that. It was just so much fun, and like it's just the cherry on top that everything in the series has now been announced, and we've got something really big and exciting to look forward to. Like I feel like having the Nutri-Grain series kind of puts everything in motion. Like now everyone feels really comfortable and confident that like we will have a good season. And as you said, like having such a long off season with so much uncertainty, like knowing what we should be training for, but not specifically, and like not having that certainty. And now I think everyone will be just a lot happier and more comfortable.
Watching you in action at the Coolangatta Gold down at Bate Bay to start your season with a win, that's got to give you some confidence early on.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's always good to get a little win in a race. Like no one will ever complain about winning. So I was really happy with that. And it was a really well put together race, especially for the first time that they've done the Bate Bay Gold. So we were all like really, everyone down there was really happy with how the day went. And it was a pretty tough race. Like everyone at the end was like, wow, like I feel like we've done the Coolangatta Gold, even though it was only half. It was definitely a bit of confidence. I'm not sure if I would take that to mean that I would have done well in the Coolangatta Gold, because that after doing it, it still gives me a lot of nerves thinking about doing the full course of that race, except the Coolangatta Gold, if it's on next year, is definitely still something I will aim to do better in.
Lizzie, you've been keeping very busy. You're also the captain of Team Yellow for Surf Lifesaving New South Wales Super Team Series. Can you tell us a little bit more about this initiative?
It's actually really cool. So Narelle Dugan, who's the new surf sports head of surf sports to New South Wales, she is awesome. And a couple of months ago, she got a couple of us of the New South Wales athletes on a call and was like, what are we going to do about racing? Like New South Wales needs some races and we are going to put on something this year. And all the athletes are just like, wow, like this chick's awesome. Like she's just going to like go put on all these races. And we came up with the decision that the team thing would be the best thing to do, especially after the success of the Super Surf Teams League last year. And I was stoked to be nominated a captain of the team. So how it works is there's 6 teams of New South Wales athletes, and they each have a captain. So there's me, Jackson Borg, Brittany Pierce, Jay Finesse, Dan Collins, and Gemma Smith. And we all got given the pool of athletes that would be in the teams, and we got to like pick who would be in our teams, like an NBA thing. And that was really, really exciting. And we had round 1 2 weeks ago now, I think. And it was such a great day. Like just everyone being back down at the beach together and racing was so much fun. And like everyone was being competitive, but it was also like a fun kind of competitive because everyone was just stoked to be racing. And it was so cool having the different teams, because like that, I feel like that makes people more competitive than when they're racing for themselves. And like, because people like within the same surf clubs were like trying to beat each other as well. So it was just like, it was really fun. And I thought our team did really well. Like, I was thinking that we would definitely be in the top 3 after the first round, and we actually ended up getting 5th. So we have a lot of work to do. We've got the next round coming up this weekend, and everyone raced really well. And I think like all the teams are really evenly spread out, like in terms of talent and stuff. Like each team definitely got a win on the day. And like, I've met a heap of people in my team who I've never really got to know before. So it's great. I'm going to know way more people on the beach now.
Now, there might be some people watching Surf Studio before that don't know your backstory. We would love to hear about how you first came to join lifesaving.
I wasn't a very athletic little kid. My mum kept a journal of when I was young, and I was reading through it the other day, and she wrote in it, like, I can't remember how old I was. I would have been maybe 10 or something, or maybe younger, but she wrote in it, like, I wish you were a little bit sporty or competitive like me and Dad, like, just like want to do sport or be a little bit competitive. So with me, like, I must have not wanted to do like any sport or been kind of lazy. And then after under 14s, I moved to North Bondi to be coached by Scotty Thompson, who was like definitely the best coach in the eastern suburbs. I improved heaps at the end of under 15. So after my first season there, I got second in the board and Ironwoman at Aussies that year. So I went from not making a state final to getting on the podium at Aussies. It was bizarre. And then make the Nutri-Grain series. So I made it at 16. So I was one of the youngest athletes, female athletes, to make it. It was after Aussies 2015 in Kira. It got me hooked on the open racing. And I remember like a few minutes after doing that race, I was like, I'm definitely going to try and make the Nutri-Grain series next season, which is so ambitious for a 16-year-old.
I love that you've gone from a reluctant nipper through to like Aussie board and iron champion for both 17s and 19s during the series. You've represented Australia. There really is hope for anyone who may not be loving nippers just yet.
Yeah, 100%. And I tell that to a lot. Like, I love giving back to the younger generations and being able to coach nippers now. Like, it's one of the most rewarding things that I do as an athlete, like just being able to mentor the next generation. And I always tell them this, like the story that I was no good as a nipper, and a lot of them are like, oh my goodness, like you weren't, like you didn't have the natural talent. And it goes to show, like, if you put the effort in, you can definitely achieve anything. I always tell them, don't limit yourself to like what you think, like you can achieve anything.
Lizzie, it has been so lovely to talk with you today, to hear your story. I know that we are just so excited to see you back in action live on Channel 9 for the Ironman series this year. It is going to be a big one.
I'm so excited for the series to start, particularly because it's going to be on live TV. I don't think I've competed with it being on live TV or like on live free to air yet in my life. So I'm so excited about that, and it's definitely a massive step, like back up the ranks for our sport. I know we've been trying to get there for a long time, and it's super cool that it's finally back there. And I think definitely like the traditionalists will be like, yeah, that like we're back where we're meant to be. So I cannot wait to start racing, and like hopefully everything keeps on going smoothly and we get there, and yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And then hopefully states, hopefully Aussies will get a full season in.
Hopefully.
Going to Ironman racing itself, 40 years of Ironman racing, sponsored by Kellogg's. Can you believe it's been that long?
It's such an honour, 40 years, it's crazy. I don't feel, I feel when I go out in the water, I still feel like I'm 30. My body feels like I'm not 20 anymore, but I certainly don't feel 50 something. And, I think back, I was there as a 11-year-old, I guess, watching Grant win the junior senior double at Maroochydore. What a fateful moment, that I was there with my friends. I travelled up and stayed in the caravan park at Maroochydore. I was body surfing, and I remember this massive 6-foot wide manta ray swam into the shore break right in front of me and just moved and brushed straight past me. I was like, wow, that and Grant Kenny winning were like 10 minutes apart from each other, winning the double. And I was listening to commentary going, what does that even, I didn't even know what that means, but I was just like, it was like a seed was planted, And Grant, you know, I grew up to be one of Grant's best mates. We travelled the world together. I was just talking to Craig Rington this morning, who, other than one of Ali Day's Coolangatta Golds and one of Shannon's world and Australian titles, watching Craig Rington win the Australian surf race in 1989 is just still one of my favourite moments in our sport, you know, in massive waves. You know, kids need heroes. They need someone to look up to. I had my dad for many years. I had the people around my own club, but Grant was the hero outside of the club.
And tell me a bit more about obviously the heroes piece. Would you ever dreamed of starring on Baywatch with approximately 1 billion people watching the episode that you're in?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Playing myself. It was just the most incredible experience with Pamela Anderson and David Hasselhoff and David Chokichi and Gina Lee Nolan and all those guys and girls in the LA scenes. And we even went to like the launch of the Baywatch fragrance on Malibu Beach, you know, and there's like, oh, there's all these movie stars there and everything else. But playing David Hasselhoff's mate, you know, playing the Mitch Buchanan's mate, and, you know, we were best mates and we'd raced each other before. It was humbling and cool and fun and a really surreal experience. And I went on, Samantha Riley, our incredible, great friend of mine and, you know, world breaststroke champion and record holder, and Joe and myself went on to meet Michael Jackson one time and spent quite some time with him talking before a concert. And that was a surreal experience. And we spent the night at a party with Madonna, who just wanted to meet the Ironman when she came to the country. And so we were special guests at her party of 200 and upstairs with just the 20 VIPs upstairs. And, you know, she just wanted to talk about training all the time and find a way to get off the tour to go surfing, you know. And so it's amazing the people I've met and become friends with and connected with out of our movement and out of our sport. But when the circle came all the way back around, it's the humble, simple things, you know, of being a volunteer and doing a patrol, and I'm president of Surfers Paradise Surf Club now, and try and give back there and help the next generation to have something to look forward to and try and flesh out our numbers and make our club strong in the middle of Surfers Paradise. And it's those things that completed the journey. It's coming back to where all the roots started.
Do you feel like now you've obviously got plenty to give back, and are you enjoying that phase of your life, be able to give back not only to your own family but to the movement at large?
I think so, for sure. Because I became an influencer in the movement, but also became known outside because the movement propped, you know, the professional series at the time pushed us into the limelight, is that I met a lot of crazy, amazing people. So it's giving back to the movement, but also giving back to Australian sport and giving back to, you know, I was really lucky to work with Collingwood Football Club for about 3 years, and with Nathan Buckley and a lot of the players there, and, you know, Gary Pert, the CEO. And so working in another movement, another sport, in a club that I was born in Preston, in Collingwood heartland. And so to give back to other areas as well and pass on some ideas, and, you know, worked with Australian swimming and just, you know, all sorts of different things along the way. It's really, really humbling, because I kind of feel whenever I do that, not only am I trying to give to lifesaving, but outside of lifesaving, I feel like I'm representing lifesaving, that lifesaving helps young men and women be the best they can be. And from the moment we are patient and determined as a Nipper age manager, as a Nipper coach, and we hold the hand of that young boy and girl that start crying like I did and get past the shore break and out to the deep blue water and come back and go, I did that. There's something happens inside of us that we undervalue and underestimate in lifesaving, because as a human being, you begin to go, that little moment, using that spiritual word again, that little spiritual being inside of us goes, I can do that. What else can I do? And if we stick around long enough and we start being able to get out the back, but pass our bronze and rescue others and contribute, whether we're fundraising, whether we're getting on a committee or making lunches, or whether we're going to compete, it's all the same. They're all heroes. They're all pushing the boundaries and everything else. So there's something about our movement. It's the only humanitarian movement in the world that's actually got an elite sport directly connected to it. You know, some of the best athletes in the world, rowers, Olympic rowers and swimmers and runners, and, you know, all have competed in these crazy things we call surf lifesaving carnivals. So everything that I get to do, lifesaving ekes out of me.
Welcome back to Surf Studio. Very excited to bring you a special story today, all the way from Umina Surf Club. We've got Lachie, Reuben, and Josh joining us today. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
Now, let's learn a little bit about each of you. Lachie, we'll start with you. How did you come to join Lifesaving?
I like the ocean. We all like the ocean, so I just started Nippers, and I've done it since 5, and I just loved it.
Fantastic. What's the best part of Nippers?
Living close to the ocean and going out in the water, and it's good life skills too.
Reuben, what about you? How long have you been in Lifesaving for?
About the same time as Lachie. So Lachie's been in since he was 5 years old. So how many years is that? That's 5 years. 5 years in surf lifesaving. Lachie started getting in the water a lot more, and I decided to get my bronze just to help out. And that translated to us making heaps more friends at the club. And but we'd only moved here a little while ago, probably about 4 years ago. But joining the club and getting my bronze helped us meet, a wider community and make a lot more friends, which we still have today.
And Uncle Josh, what's your story? How did you come to join Umina?
I'm not part of the surf club. I'm just wearing
You look so authentic.
They just threw the shirt on me just a little while ago to keep in sync here.
Let's take it back to the beginning of October. It's school holidays, and you all participated in a pretty exciting event. Lachie, do you want to take us through what you remember of that day?
Yeah, I was just paddling out on my board, just catching waves, and then the other kids just screaming for help. So we paddled over and just got them on our board, and then I just paddled them in and caught a wave. I guess it was all the training. It just kind of clicked in, and I know what to do.
Now, Reuben, you saw all of this unfold, and obviously you know that Lachie's a really strong paddler. What were your first thoughts?
I didn't even click. I was still sort of stunned watching everything go, and Uncle Josh and Lachie paddled over straight away and sprang into action. Uncle Josh got there first, and Lachie got there second. Uncle Josh grabbed the first kid, and Lachie grabbed the second one. Lachie sprang into action pretty quick. He only just started learning surf rescue last year, and he's been competing in it last year. They've had a few practices, but usually the patient is compliant. In this case, the patient was very panicked, and Lachie had to sort of coach him onto the board, and he just did what he'd been trained to do, and took the young boy in.
Lachie, it's a little different to a board rescue, isn't it? If you've got someone on there who's a little bit scared and not quite sure what to do.
Yeah, you kind of have to take them through it and calm them down, and then you've got to try and get them on the board and stay on there and then paddle them in. I wouldn't have known what to do if I hadn't have done all the training and stuff.
Josh, over to you. What were your thoughts when all of this was happening?
I just heard some kids screaming and kind of bobbing in the water, so just paddled over to him. I knew Lachie was right there with me because we had been out there all morning. And then, like I said, I just threw the first kid on, and then Lachie threw the younger kid on, and then we just paddled in. And it was just kind of reaction, I guess, I think, for both of us.
Reuben and Josh, you must be so proud of Lachie and his actions that day.
Yeah, very proud. In the spot where we were, we've actually pulled out a few kids before, but not as dramatic as that one, but we've seen kids sort of walking into that spot. It was kind of we didn't think a big deal of it at that when it happened. We didn't there was other surfers out there. So we just sort of went home and just carried on with our day. It just happened to just get out in the club, and then word got around. And Lachie, he felt pretty good about it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lachie is one of those kids. He's just a little bit mature for his age, so he doesn't think too much of it. He's kind of a grown up, pretty much.
Yeah.
So thinking back to this rescue, it really highlights the importance of parents supervising their kids at the beach, because we've seen just how quickly you can get in trouble.
The parents were unaware of their kids getting swept out in the rip. They were literally unaware until Josh arrived on the beach first, and they were unaware right up until Josh took the child back to the parents. They were playing frisbee.
And the kids were about 150 meters out. Like, it was a big, long rip that takes you way out. And I guess if there weren't surfers there that day, I mean, we weren't the only surfers out there, so they would have got rescued, I think, one way or another. But if there weren't surfers out, it wasn't good surf, I think they would have just been gone. So I think parents just need to be more aware of their children, especially when they're near the water.
Absolutely, and knowing how quickly those conditions can change, that you can end up 150 metres out to sea in a really short amount of time.
I did give the parents a bit of a spray.
It was well deserved, I think.
We sort of, I did have a few words to the parents to say about these kids. They should, the fact that they were out that far and no one knew, and if there was no surfers out there on that day, there was a lot. It was quite a nice day for a surf, but if there was no one out there, they wouldn't have known.
Now, Lachie, if there's some other kids out there who are thinking of joining Nippers, what would you tell them?
It's a fun sport. It's lots of fun. Good to learn, and you can make a lot of friends, and it's really local. So I'd say, it's good. Some of my friends, Colin Hogan, James Griffith, Shaylin Bennett, Cayenne Sinclair, Tristan, Julian, and my coach Steve and Vicky.
And to Reuben and Josh, this really demonstrates how important those skills are that we learn at Nippers. To any of the parents out there who are thinking of getting their kids involved, what would you say to them?
I think it's a great tool to just be involved in the community. Personally, I've just been in and around the community the last few years, and it's very welcoming. Everybody's inclusive, and you guys do so much. I think just in and around the beaches, I think it's great for anybody that wants to get involved, if you have kids or not.
The community is fantastic. The life skills that it teaches the kids, the character building, the club members that we've met, the fantastic people that we've met at the club who've sort of turned our new move into basically a new lifestyle, which has been great. We've got 2 other kids coming up through the club, and they are just, they're loving it as well. We're making all our friends through the club.
And Lachie, what's the most important thing about if you're going for a swim at the beach? Where should you always be swimming?
Make sure you swim in between the red and yellow flags and have your parents watching you.
That wraps up another episode of Surf Studio. Lachie, Reuben and Josh from Umina, thank you so much for coming along and sharing your story, reminding us why it's so important to swim between the flags. So great to chat with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Up, Umina!
Thanks for watching Surf Studio. We would encourage you to get in touch with us to send through ideas or stories for future episodes. Contact the team via our social media channels or email us at surfstudio@slsa.asn.au.